Hey, what's going on there, guys? Nick here with Absolute MTG, and I'm back with another Aether Revolt video for you. Now, what you guys probably have noticed if you actually follow the spoilers and you follow the release of spoilers is that they are releasing them way too quick, for the most part, for content creators to actually be able to cover them in a timely manner. So, what ends up happening is whenever the spoilers become released this violently, over the course of a day, like maybe content creator is going to create a video and they're going to cover X amount of cards, and then another thing gets spoiled in the middle of the day. So they're like, oh, well, I have to make an edit or a re-edit to this video and add that thing in because I don't want to leave anything out. I think the easy solution to this, or at least for me, is going to be that I'm going to cover the cards that I think you guys actually care about. I'm going to cover the stuff that is either going to be potentially constructed playable, or has a cool synergy, or something that I think is actually noteworthy about a card that won't just end up being a limited filler card that you're going to draft or play in sealed or whatever, and then just kind of forget about and never see ever again. So, with that in mind, we're going to start off with quite easily probably one of the most controversial cards that I've seen thus far in the spoilers, and that is a Chord of Calling for artifacts, being Whir of Invention. Whir of Invention is X in triple blue, and it has Improvise, which is basically already the shell of Chord of Calling, but just for artifacts. With it, we can search for an artifact card with CMC X or less and put it on the battlefield, and then shuffle our library. That's really cool, especially for Modern, where you already have decks like Eggs that exist. It definitely opens up a lot of possibilities for different synergies, different interactions, and different lines of play that can exist whenever you have a Chord of Calling effect for that card type. It's also interesting the approach that Wizards is taking for vehicles, in that we have cards like Peacekeeper Colossus that is going to be able to crew up your other vehicles with the use of mana, and similarly we have Consulate Dreadnought that takes a different pace at vehicles, being a 1-drop 7/11, but it has a crew cost of 6. So your Lupine prototypes are just a little bit shy at being able to actually crew it, but at the same time you can still curve out with a vehicle of that caliber and still be able to crew it somewhat easily and be able to bash away for 7 somewhat soon, not way late into the game or anything like that. I don't think it'll be the most impactful card, but it's definitely interesting. It's something that's noteworthy and kind of a takeaway from this set with how they want to actually display and bring the vehicle mechanic to you. We're also going to find that the expertise cards are a part of a cycle, and with this we have Srom's Expertise, being a sorcery speed 4-cost card that's going to create 3 colorless servo tokens for us, and is also going to allow us to play a card with CMC 3 or less from our hand on its resolution. It's really cool every time they print a token card on top of pre-existing token cards that are already in the format, just because it gives a lot of potential for types of decks that you could play, and different small synergies that you could have that exist. I think this, combined with other planeswalkers like Gideon, 3-drop Nissa, you might even go as far as Naya, play Reckless Bushwhacker, and just kind of do some stuff around there. I think it's pretty cool. It's another approach, and it's something fun that you can mess around with. You guys will also find that Srom is in this set as quite a powerful creature. This guy's a 2/2 for 2, and he's almost like Core Spirit Dancer, almost. Whenever we cast an aura, equipment, or vehicle spell, we get to draw a card. Now, he doesn't get any additive bonuses for stuff being on the battlefield like Core Spirit Dancer would, but this card is definitely really cool just because it has the same line of text that Spirit Dancer does, and it's worded in the same fashion that whenever you cast, rather than whenever an aura, equipment, or whatever would enter the battlefield. The fact that it's on cast is interesting because your opponent can't have some kind of a kill effect for it, and you don't get the actual draw. So the fact that it's on cast is pretty cool, but the fact that this guy's legendary is kind of a downside because you can't just stack the board with 2 of them and just draw a bunch of stuff for playing a Boggles style deck in Standard, if that would exist in some way, shape, or form. Another key takeaway with the way that they're designing cards in this set is that with energy, we now have a take a turn effect as well. So we have Gonti's Aether Heart being a 6-drop legendary artifact. When it or another artifact enters the battlefield, as you would assume with most of these cards, they have like a you get an energy type effect outside of like a you spend energy effect. So whenever an artifact enters the battlefield or the Aether Heart enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy, but you have to pay 8 energy and exile the heart to be able to take an extra turn. That's still not bad. It's a sink for the energy that you might already have, and especially with how much they're highlighting artifacts in this set, it might be a cool card to include in some kind of a Tezzeret deck or just in a artifact style deck in general. Now, one card that I'm really excited about this card. Removal is really, really sweet whenever they take a new approach at it and they print cards that are going to be applicable for like all of the formats. Fatal Push is definitely it. Fatal Push is definitely going to be a card that is actually playable for everything, like Modern, Legacy, Standard. I don't know about Vintage. I don't play enough Vintage to actually know. But definitely, like, even Legacy, whenever you're playing cards like Disfigure, this card's is probably going to replace Disfigure for you in general. Instant speed, we get to destroy target creature if it has converted mana cost 2 or less, but if we had a permanent that we controlled leave the battlefield this turn, it's going to go for 4 converted mana cost or less. It's just absolutely insane because, like, in Modern and Legacy, you play fetch lands, you crack the fetch lands, and then you get to play this card. Crack a fetch, now you're sweating, because I'm playing Fatal Push. That's pretty cool. Another sweet energy sink that we have, or I guess even just past the energy sink, it's an energy generator for us, is Greenbelt Rampager. So this guy is a 3/4 for 1 green. When it enters the battlefield, you have to pay 2 energy. If you can't pay that 2 energy, you return the Greenbelt Rampager to its owner's hand and you get 1 energy. So this card is awesome because for each green mana that you want to sink, you can get an energy out of it. So it can be a recurable way that maybe you don't even play the Rampager for the purpose of like having a 3/4 out there for 1 mana, but rather you're playing this card so that you get the energy back out of it, and you're just able to get these effects like your Aetherworks Marvel. Maybe you don't have a good way to actually generate the energy for you other than the Rampager itself being there. So being able to do something like that and generate a whole bunch of energy it's an interesting approach because this card is meant to be aggressive, but at the same time it gives you good purpose out of the rest of the stuff you're probably playing anyway. So having an outlet for the extra mana that you're going to toss away regardless is cool. That's a cool design for a card. We also have a pseudo Lord. So Metallic Mimic is kind of a Lord for you, and I think Lords are always kind of important to be able to single out anytime a standard set is around, especially because humans are still quite playable right now. People have definitely had some success playing with humans in the recent standard format. But this guy's interesting because it's a 2/1 for 2, enters the battlefield as an additional creature type that you choose on it entering, and whenever other creatures you control of the chosen type enter the battlefield, they're going to enter with an additional +1/+1 counter on them. So that means if you're playing humans on top of playing like Thalia's Lancers, you're playing a bunch of other humans that are going to enter the battlefield afterwards, they're going to enter in a little bit bigger, and that's actually pretty sweet because getting any amount of extra oomph out of your aggro cards is exactly what you want out of it, especially when you're playing tribal. So adding something like this into the mix is really, really interesting. I don't think it's as applicable for other formats. I don't think it's going to like push anything ahead in other formats like Modern, but it's definitely really cool just because of like humans already being a thing in Standard, that you get a little bit extra out of playing tribal or trying to play tribal right now. Now, the next card that we have here, we don't actually have an English copy of this card right now. I don't actually have an English version of this card to share with you guys as an image because the one's not actually readily available for us on the internet right now at this time. But the next card that we're looking at is Industrial Towers. You guys actually get to look at how awesome this card is, and I'll read to you. I'll give you a little reading rainbow here of what this card does, because it is reading rainbow. It's a rainbow land. So it is tap to add a colorless to your mana pool, or we can tap, pay 1 life, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Activate this ability only when you control an artifact. Why is that sweet? Because we already have greedy decks like the Mardu Vehicles deck that are just splashing for a bunch of good things as it is. They're playing a super aggressive strategy, and now having more mana fixing for like the artifact style decks that are going to encompass artifacts heavily, that's just awesome. Having more mana fixing is definitely going to play, it's going to make decks like that more playable or more enticing to actually play. We also have another really interesting EDH style card here in Aid from the Cowl. Now again, this is another one, we don't have an English version, we just have a Japanese one that's going to be up on display here, but it is a 5-cost card, 3 and double green, and it has Revolt. So at the beginning of the end step, if a permanent you control left the battlefield this turn, you may reveal the top card of your library, so it's a May ability. If that card is a permanent, you may put it onto the battlefield. If it's not, put it on the bottom of your library. So it's almost like Lurking Predators, but at the same time, it's going to require you to have something have left the battlefield that turn to actually get a effect out of it. But I still think this card is really, really interesting. It's an interesting take just because of Revolt and how many different synergies you can have for Revolt. Just with even like Evolving Wilds, Fetch Lands, stuff like that, leaving the battlefield for you. If your opponent killed something of yours, that it's really, really cool. The only downside is it's only at like your end step, so if you're playing like a huge multiplayer game, it's not like Revolt's going to benefit you every single end step like of every single player, but it's definitely cool whenever we have like a pseudo Lurking Predators type effect being in play for us, and even just something else that you get to play in EDH that has a similar effect to that. We have Aether Geode Miner. So this guy is a 3-1 for 2. Whenever it attacks, you get 2 energy. We can pay 2 energy, exile the miner, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. So immediately we just get to blink it. So it can get around removal that your opponent has, or otherwise like a Liliana that would uptick on it and make it die. It's interesting because it's another card that generates energy for you. So if you're playing like Mardu Vehicles, or if you're playing like, I don't know, even red-white vehicles and you're playing cards like Harness Lightning, it gives you a little bit more energy to mess around with for your energy effects, so I think that's pretty cool. It also makes like your Aether hubs a little bit better if maybe you already sunk all of the mana and the energy out into your Aether hubs and you need a little bit more. The miner is going to be able to do that for you, but the fact that it can blink itself, I think it's just kind of like an easy additive thing, and it's a pretty easy card to crew some of the vehicles that you might already be playing in that deck anyway. And I mean, who can look past? Who is actually going to sit here and look past any free win the game type effects? And that's exactly what we have in Mechanized Production. It's a 4-cost enchantment aura, and it enchants an artifact that you control. At the beginning of your upkeep, you get to create a token that's a copy of the enchanted artifact. Then, if you control 8 or more artifacts with the same name as another one, you win the game. Alright, so why is Mechanized Production cool? Well, you already have like clues being a thing in the format. Like Clue is it's a huge thing. Investigate is a huge thing already with cards like Tireless Tracker and whatnot. And it's not hard to generate clues, and it's not the most difficult thing to actually keep these clues safe and tucked away and tucked in bed, and you have the sheets all nice and tucked around them. You're like, don't worry, you just get to sleep safe. You're just going to sit here on the battlefield for X amount of turns, and we're just going to win the game, buddy. We're going to take you home. We're going to take you away from the war. This is cool because you have Padim. Padim, Mechanized Production, and maybe like some Tireless Trackers, you play some Evolving Wild, stuff like that, and some other cards that generate clues. That's kind of a cool thing to have. It's probably not the best thing for you, but it's cool. You can mess around with it. We also get to take a look at another legendary friend here, being Hemi Undying Partisan. So another pseudo-aggressive black creature card that we get. He's a 2-2 for 3. He has haste, which I would deem him kind of like aggressive. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, you get to put a counter on him, and we get to sacrifice another creature, and he gains indestructible until the end of the turn. So that's kind of cool, just being able to play some kind of... I always want to go to it like black-white style aggro deck that you get to have an outlet to keep him alive, and maybe you use the outlet to just kind of pound through some damage through your opponent's stuff where they have to like chump block it or something that or another, but every time one of your opponent's creatures is going to die, he actually gets a little bit bigger, which is kind of cool. I don't think he's the most, like, aggressive card that you can have, especially because he's like 3 mana. If he was 2 mana, I think he would be super aggressive, but the fact that he has haste, the fact that he has a mode that's going to make him bigger, and the fact that he can keep himself alive is noteworthy. Revolt definitely seems to get a whole lot better here with a Renegade Railer being printed. He's a 3/2 guy for 3, so 1 green and 1 white with Revolt. So whenever he enters the battlefield, if a permanent you control left the battlefield this turn, return target permanent card with CMC 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So it's any type of permanent card that we can get back. So if you would happen to, I don't know, like have 3 mana and play an Evolving Wilds and crack it for the turn, search your deck for a basic land, put it on the battlefield, play the Renegade, and then get your Evolving Wilds back. That's actually kind of cool, especially if you're already playing stuff like Tireless Tracker in there as well. He's a human, so that's noteworthy as well, because anytime you already have existing humans that are okay in a shell with one another, especially even with like Tireless Tracker as well, you get a little bit more synergy out of it, and green-white is exactly the color that you want to be playing for that deck. I think this guy's really, really cool. I think this guy actually might see a decent amount of play for Standard, especially because you get to get back Thalia's Lancers, or not Thalia's Lancers, Thalia's Lieutenant from your graveyard onto the battlefield, and you get that ETB effect to make all of your dudes bigger, which is pretty awesome, actually. We have 2 cards left here that we're going to be taking a look at today. One of which is the Rogue Refiner. So it almost seems like this is going to be a cycle of 2 color, 3 drops that have 3 power and 2 toughness. This one is a 3/2 for 3, being blue and green, and whenever it enters the battlefield, we get to draw a card and we gain 2 energy. That's what all of that means over there. Some of you guys might be able to read that. I feel like most people won't be able to read that. But this one, I think this is another one is almost playable. I don't know how applicable this will be, like, on curve to play this, to be able to draw a card and get some energy, but it's definitely cool. It's an option whenever you're deck building. He's a human rogue as well, so he's another human. I don't know if, like, this might make its way into, like, some kind of a Bant deck. You probably already have, like, way too many 3-drops that you're trying to play for that anyway, like with Reflector Mage and Thalia, Tireless Tracker, the Renegade guy that we saw previously. But it's an option. It's definitely a noteworthy card that exists, and I definitely like my Centaur Healer-esque cards whenever they get printed for Standard. So I always like 3-drops. 3-drops seem to be the most balanced cards that we get out of here. And the very last card that we have that we're going to be taking a look at here is Tezzeret's Touch. So we have a almost Ensoul artifact type card here, being that it's 3 mana as opposed to 2. It's 1 blue and a black. Enchant Artifact. Enchanted Artifact is a creature with base power and toughness 5/5 in addition to its other types. And whenever the Enchanted Artifact is put into a graveyard, return that card to its owner's hand. Now, I almost thought this card was going to be like Rancor, where whenever the Tezzeret's Touch is put into the graveyard, you get it back, and that would be exactly what I would want out of this card. But even still, getting your artifact back, like getting whatever you like already just had out there, getting it back to your hand is definitely not bad by any means. Just getting to recycle that is actually a pretty cool approach to it. Actually, I lied to you guys. I definitely lied to you guys, because I said that those were the last 2 cards, but something else popped up that I forgot about that's actually really, really cool. We have Ornithopter back. So where we probably thought that Ornithopter being an invention or a masterpiece, that being just kind of like a reprint for Affinity that they wanted us to have to bling out, this card is actually going to be Standard legal for us, and I'm not sure how aggressively applicable this card is going to be for artifact strategies or like aggro strategies, but it's there. It's another card that's there. We get to use it, we get to have it just kind of floating around there for us, and we might be able to throw some stuff together with a bunch of artifacts that get synergy together, maybe in like some kind of a Tezzeret shell or something like that. And I don't know. I mean, the world is your oyster. You get to decide what you try and do with your Ornithopters. Put some of that Tezzeret's Touch on it and turn it into 5/5s and just start swinging away on turn 3. But let me know what you guys think of the spoilers thus far. Let me know what you think of Aether Revolt down in the comments below. Remember, check and see if you guys are actually subscribed to the channel, if you want to be subscribed to the channel, because YouTube has that problem of people being unsubscribed for no apparent reason whatsoever out of like their own volition. They just get unsubscribed because of the way that the website has been reacting to stuff. But if you're not already subscribed to the channel, I would greatly appreciate it if you guys subscribe and hit the thumbs up button. If you guys enjoy this video and want to see more videos of this nature, I'll be sure to bring you more stuff, especially from Aether Revolt as it becomes released. And yeah, leave down in the comments below any discussions, opinions, anything like that that you guys have about the set or about the channel or about me. Maybe you don't like my haircut, maybe you don't like my face, that's okay. I don't like my face very much either. But until next time, guys, thank you for watching, thank you for joining me, and peace out.